The Admiral Hipper was Germany's first heavy cruiser built after World War I, and honestly, she was a mess from the keel up. Her engines broke down constantly. Her hull vibrated so badly at high speed that rivets popped. Her fuel consumption was so inefficient that she could barely reach the North Atlantic without refueling. Yet the Kriegsmarine built 4 ships of this class. Why? Because Hitler wanted ships that looked powerful, not necessarily ships that worked. The Hipper was a propaganda vessel disguised as a warship. But in combat, she had a strange habit of rising to the occasion. The Hipper was named after Admiral Franz von Hipper, who commanded German battlecruisers at Jutland. A fine namesake, a troubled ship. Her design was the result of compromise. The Washington Naval Treaty limited cruisers to 10,000 tons. Germany ignored that, but still tried to pack too much into the hull. 8 8-inch guns, a dozen 4.1-inch anti-aircraft guns, torpedo tubes, armor that was adequate but not impressive, and a propulsion plant that required constant nursing. The high-pressure steam turbines were advanced for their time. Advanced meant finicky. Seals failed. Pipes burst. The Hipper spent more time in dry dock for engine repairs than any other large German warship. In December 1941, the Hipper sortied against convoy WS-14A in the North Atlantic. Her mission: sink merchant ships, avoid British cruisers. She found a straggler, a British tanker, and sank it. Then she disappeared into the storm. Not glorious, but effective. The Hipper's finest hour came on December 31st, 1942. The Battle of the Barents Sea. A German force of 2 heavy cruisers and 6 destroyers attacked convoy JW-51B. The Hipper was the flagship, commanded by Admiral Oskar Kummetz. The plan was simple. The Hipper would engage the convoy's escorting destroyers, while the other cruiser, Lützow, sank the merchant ships. It did not work. The British destroyers fought back ferociously. One British destroyer, HMS Achates, laid a smokescreen so effective that the Hipper could not find the convoy. Then the British light cruiser HMS Sheffield appeared out of the snow. She engaged the Hipper at close range, 6,000 yards. Both ships were hit. The Hipper took shells in her boiler room and her forward fire control. She lost radar. She lost speed. She lost her nerve. Admiral Kummetz ordered a withdrawal. The Germans had failed to sink a single merchant ship. Hitler was furious. He threatened to scrap the entire surface fleet. Grand Admiral Raeder resigned. The Hipper was decommissioned for repairs and never fully returned to operational status. But the ship was not done. She had one more lesson to teach. In January of 1945, the Soviet army was advancing on East Prussia. The Hipper was reactivated, not for combat, but for evacuation. She joined the largest sea lift in history, Operation Hannibal. Over 2 million German civilians and soldiers were evacuated from the Baltic coast. The Hipper made multiple trips, cramming over 1,500 refugees aboard each time. 5 times her normal crew complement. Women, children, wounded soldiers. The ship's engines, never reliable, somehow held together. Her crew gave up their bunks to civilians. They shared their rations. They turned a warship into a ferry. On May 3, 1945, the Admiral Hipper was in Kiel. British bombers attacked the harbor. The Hipper took 5 direct hits. Fires raged. The ship settled on the bottom, her decks awash. She was raised in 1946 and scrapped by the British. The steel became bridges and factory roofs. The Admiral Hipper was, by any honest assessment, a flawed ship. Her engineering was brittle. Her combat record was mixed. She never sank an enemy cruiser or won a decisive victory. But she did something that pure design specs cannot measure. She adapted. When her country needed a troop transport, she became one. When she needed to evacuate civilians, she did. Her crew improvised, repaired, and kept going long after the engineers said she should have failed. That is the overlooked consequence of flawed equipment. It forces crews to become creative. Perfect ships breed complacency. Problematic ships breed resourcefulness. The Admiral Hipper was never going to win a beauty contest, but she got the job done when it mattered most. And sometimes that is enough. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper.